Good afternoon. Welcome to another A-Push video with Mr. Pate. Today we're going to be talking about colonial differences. And what we're going to be looking at are the different colonial groups that frequently get mentioned on AP essays. We're looking in the 1600s at the British North American colonies, New France, and the Spanish Southwest. So let's go ahead and get started. The things we have an essential question today, which is compare and contrast the different North American colonies of France, Spain, and Great Britain. So hopefully we'll be able to answer that in the next few minutes. We're going to look at with each colonial group who came, what their goals were, the religion and how that factored in, the economy, setbacks they faced, and kind of their settlement pattern. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with New France. Right now, New France is going to be, it's a lot of North America at this point. Really, you can see that it goes down to what will become called Louisiana territory, in the Mississippi River Basin, and kind of this entire, what becomes the Old Southwest later on, okay? You also primarily have what is today Canada, and you have amongst and right above the Great Lakes, you have the early settlement where really New France is based. They claim a lot of different territory, but they really have almost no one there. So you have like Quebec City and Montreal and various other little settlements that are going to be based right along the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes themselves. And they are going to kind of penetrate south into what becomes known as the Ohio River Valley, this area south of the Great Lakes. And this eventually will become what you will see as contested area between the British and the French, leading to the 7 Years of French and Indian War. Okay, so the goals. Well, the goals were to, France and Great Britain were huge rivals. They both are trying to get a kind of a beachhead and get a foothold in North America. So it's to have a colony. It's to spread their nation, their values, their religion, to economically enrich the mother country. This is going to be the same for all of them. So that's what we're looking at for goals. Religion, Catholicism. You had to be Catholic to even move to the colonies. You had, and so they are going to have Catholic monasteries. They have trading posts. They have forts, military forts for the defense and protection of their citizens, of their colonists. And they're going to have a huge fur trading network that extends down into the Ohio River Valley that goes along with that. And so the primary thing of economy actually is going to be in this kind of fairly cold area, it's going to be the fur trading. That's going to be the main thing they're doing. Setbacks, not a ton of setbacks. There's going to be some skirmishes, primarily the British, especially growing in intensity kind of in the eastern portion of New France as time goes on, moves into the 1700s. But initially, not a ton of setbacks other than it's brutally cold. And for the people who are living up here, you're going to have people dying, not making it due to this brutal cold. It's far colder than France itself. So that would kind of be the setback. The settlement pattern, like I said, is along the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes, and which are their water conduits, and then kind of spreading south into the Ohio River Valley. So that's New France, and again, Catholic-based, not a huge population, military, fur trading, Catholic monasteries is what's going on. All right, we move on to the Spanish Southwest. And this really is today's Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. And who came? This is desert, okay? They are in a deserty area, moving out of today's Mexico, moving northward. Why? Because they're trying to claim as much land as they can toward the north. The Russians are trying to claim land coming down from the south, from Alaska, so they're trying to claim as high of a border as they can. It does get nebulous kind of in the Pacific Northwest of today, however. You're going to have a very barren area with a very small population. You have military posts and Catholic monasteries, and that's basically it. There is no farming. There is nothing to fur trap. This is a pretty barren area where they're claiming land and trying to convert natives. Goals, claim the territory. Religion, Catholic monasteries, convert local Native Americans. Economy, really not much of one of any sort to make anything about. Setbacks, well, they're going to have something called the Pueblo Revolt that occurs, and the Pueblo Revolt is going to be very problematic. It's going to be the most successful Native American uprising, I think, certainly of the 1600s, because they're going to kick out the Spanish for about 10 years. and it'll take a while for the Spanish to kind of reclaim the territory. But that would be the main setback. And again, settlement pattern is going to be scattered military forts and Catholic monasteries. Well, this takes us now to the main area we're looking at, which is the British North American colonies. So, for the British North American colonies, we can divide them up as I did by color here. You have the New England colonies, as they'll frequently be referred to, the middle colonies in green, southern colonies in red. And, basically, New York is kind of the border of the New England colonies. It's important to remember Maine was not its own state or actual colony at this point. It's part of Massachusetts. It'll become a state far later as a part of the Missouri Compromise. But you have the middle colonies and then the southern colonies. And there's some distinct differences between each of them. The first colonial settlement is going to be Jamestown in 1607. And with Jamestown, they're totally ill-equipped. They come in thinking they're going to find gold because that's what's being found in Mexico and Central America. So you have people coming in, and unfortunately for them, they find gold, except it's fool's gold. It's known as iron pyrite. And you have people coming in who are caviar makers, and they're goldsmiths. And these people aren't really the type of people who are going to be needed to practically make it in the United States eventually. John Smith's going to kind of save them from a starving time. John Rolfe is going to kind of tweak the type of tobacco grown and find a type of tobacco that grows very well in this Chesapeake area, in this kind of hot, humid area. It's very conducive to this crop. You can grow rice and this kind of tobacco. Later on, of course, we know cotton. But that's what they're going to be starting with, and tobacco saves it, makes it profitable, because the southern colonies are generally royal colonies. They are also proprietary colonies, except for Georgia, where they are started often by joint stock companies. Okay? And for the southern colonies, if we kind of look, so who came? We're talking single men, few single women, but largely single men who are kind of adventurers, want to make their bucks, get rich, and members of joint stock companies. You have also royal officials who come. You have a lot of the sons. Primogeniture is a system where, to maintain family holdings, the oldest son got everything a noble family had, or any family, frankly. The other sons had to make their way either through becoming a lawyer or going to the military or things like that. Well, some of these younger sons who don't get all the native, Great Britain's land holdings that they had, some of these younger sons, they were given awards of tracts of land out in North America. So they're going to come in. This is more prominent in the southern colonies, somewhat in the middle colonies, not really in the northern colonies. So you have people with royal connections. You have the Anglican Church is very strong. So as we move to goals, these are colonies about making money, except for Georgia. James Oglethorpe will found Georgia as kind of a haven for like debtor prison inmates who are being cast off to the colonies and things like that. So the goal is to make money and to get rich. Religion, it's Anglican Church heavy. The Anglican Church, you'll see all the way up to the American Revolution, is going to be strongest here of anywhere. The economy itself is, again, going to be tobacco-based. Setbacks, not a ton of setbacks. There's a little bit of skirmishing with Native Americans, but not too bad. Settlement pattern is going to be very coastal, and it's going to be plantation-based almost immediately. Not a lot of cities being built. There are lots of rivers that kind of move inland, so people could live along these rivers and have large tracts of farming land. The rich take the best farmland because they get all the hookups from the royal families and the nobility, and then the poor, especially those who have been indentured servants, they will get the worst farmland and have more of the issues with Native Americans. And people were able to get land through the headright system, like in Virginia, if they brought other members of their family to encourage more settlement. All right, moving quickly, the middle colonies. The middle colonies, you've got New York and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland, and these are going to be colonies that, the southern colonies, you have lots of indentured servitude for the farming, and eventually they turn to African slavery. Less slavery in the north, although there's some in the middle colonies. More of a diversified economy. It's not land that's as conducive once you get above Maryland into Pennsylvania, etc., to do plantation type farming. There's going to be a lot of farming of traditional food crops and other types of economic practices. Religion's going to be varied. You have a lot of people who had royal connections, got land in the middle colonies, like William Penn, Quaker, set up a haven for Quakers in Pennsylvania. You have Lord Baltimore in Maryland, sets up a haven for Catholics in North America. So the Dutch, of course, founded New York themselves, and then it's absorbed by the British. So you're going to have a variety of different kind of religious groups that are not welcome in Great Britain, but they kind of establish havens, and there's a lot of toleration going on in the middle colonies with this diversified economy. Not a ton of setbacks there. Quakers are actually pretty darn friendly to the Native Americans, worked well with them. Settlement pattern, they're going to form some cities, coastal cities primarily, and then moving out to the west. The last area we have is the New England colonies. They're founded by the people that definitely were not welcome in Great Britain religiously. So who came? You have families coming, you have religious groups coming, you have a lot of different groups such as the Puritans and the Separatists that are coming in wanting to establish basically what John Winthrop calls a city on a hill. They want to establish a great religious community of Protestant Christianity. And they're very different from the Anglicans. No Anglican presence really in the northern area. Other colonies such as Rhode Island and Connecticut are going to be founded also later on by people who kind of come out of the Puritans and the Separatists. So very diverse economy. It's colder up there, so only small family farms. And you have shipbuilding and fishing going on. You have merchants, a lot of merchants. Cities really spring up. So you have a very diversified economy. They're going to be involved in triangular trade, distilling rum that comes as molasses from the West Indies. So a lot of different things going on in New England, and they have a very, like I said, the Puritans are the dominant religious group, but Protestant groups that want to have family-based religious communities. Economy is very diverse. Setbacks, lots of conflicts with Native Americans. You have the Pequot War and King Philip's War, and lots of little skirmishes and wars going on there. Settlement pattern, large cities, and then they have towns based around, they had town meetings and established some democracy there. They have a school, they have a church as kind of the central things in the whole community. Literacy, very, very important in New England in this family-based, church-based society. Elements of democracy early on, you have the Virginia House of Burgesses is the first colonial legislature, and you have the New England town meetings where city communities would get together and discuss and debate things and vote on things. And that's all the time we have for today. Stay classy.